question on this episode is, should you get certified with an ISV?
This sounds like a pretty straightforward question, and the immediate answer would be yes, right?
The knee-jerk reaction, of course, is to say yes. We always want to say yes to educational opportunities. However, I want to challenge folks with this. When it comes to spending the time of your sales and technical resources to go through a time-consuming training and certification process, start with no, and then figure out the why.
Yeah, you need to defend your time, so that makes sense. You need to have an additional reason for training. But could you elaborate on the start with no?
Right. We often just want to say yes and sign up for action items because we want to feel like the call is being produced moving forward, especially on initial partnership meetings. You really want to have that positivity. But what we often see, especially being on the vendor side, is we get a lot of yeses, and then there's a lull in getting people into the portal. And then we notice even if they get into the portal, the timelines of when they say they were going to complete the courses tend to lag as well. And this is often because learning a new solution typically doesn't trump current business. So you start with no. What you end up doing is giving yourself more time to think, and then you can always respond a little bit later.
So what's a good kind of plan of attack for a vendor? You're going through the various training options that are available, part of the kickoff meeting. Where do you start?
So take a step back, politely say, thanks so much. They'll probably show you this great list of all the different certification options they have. Of course, set the expectation. You really want to take the time to talk about it with your teams internally, right? When you're partnering up with a vendor, you want to ask yourself a couple questions. Number one, you need to acknowledge that any plan you have to train your employees, it needs to be assigned to a dollar amount, right? So you need to be able to commercially justify the time investment of your sales and technical resources for getting in bed and working with a vendor in their certification process. Number two, you need to be willing to dedicate time to protect that time to complete those certifications. These typically aren't 20, 30 minutes processes. They sometimes take hours or days of preparation. And then following that, as someone who's partnering with multiple ISVs, you want to set an expectation on when you want to have an ROI for the time your teams are taking. And you really want to understand if they take the time to learn about this technology, when am I going to see that back as far as revenue? If you take the time as a leader in your organization to complete those three motions, then you can approach the vendor again and say, yes, we'll consider this.
I like this strategy. It puts all the pressure on the vendor to be able to say, hey, here's the value in participating. If you clearly understand your points 1 and 3, then most people are more likely to complete their training.
Yeah, that first point, commercially justifying the time investment, right? How much money am I losing if I'm putting them here? And that third point, which is, what's the ROI of that now investment I've made of those finances? So you really want to do that. And, to be clear, any organization, right, you're not learning for learning's sake. All activities, everybody has a billable list, right? You really want to make sure that your sales and technical teams, if you allow them to participate, they're aligned with the goals of the business and that you understand what that expectation is when you complete those certifications.
Well, excellent. Thank you for that overview, Sam. And there you have it, folks. Start with no before committing to vendor training. And make sure you start with those activities with the outcome in mind, and then protect the time until make sure that you get that ROI. As always, you can find out more about these and other resources through AvePoint's partner program. You can find us at avepoint.com/partners.